So you'll get the cars fanned out in multiple rows, 10 cars in each of the rows, and they storm their way down into a right-hand cambered in dirt corner. And that gets our 10-minute race underway. It's not usually a track where you'd see the Rallycross cars coming in race. Usually you see the trophy trucks, the Pro 4s, the Pro 2s, and other sort of vehicles like that. But we like to mix things up, and it's always good that we can actually see Fordzilla in a Ford, because that's not something we get to talk about too often, Will.
No, absolutely. I think that's hopefully going to change within the next few years in sim racing, in iRacing itself. But this full Fiesta rally car is a fantastic car to drive, and it's really good to have it on the service and for us to be able to use it today.
Of course, most recently, Will and the Fordzilla team competed in the 12 Hours of Bathurst. That was a couple of weeks ago here on the iRacing service. The 2 top 20 results for them, including a not unembarrassing moment for a certain Will Chadwick, who spun on pit lane. But we'll gloss over that one, Will. I won't dig into you too much.
You always bring up the worst things. Oh, we've seen a bit of contact there. Going off for a little trip near the starting area. I think a good point of topic is I really like both of these liveries. I think the NLR livery looks fantastic. I also really like our new livery for the Rallycross cars. And it'll be interesting to see if anyone can match the style of liveries with who else we're going to see. We've seen a roll there.
That's a bit of a tumble. You will see there's the Next Level community livery. That's the predominantly red car. Then you've got the staff livery as well, which is a kind of invert of this paint scheme. We will see 6 members of the Next Level Racing staff join us. A couple of members from Australia and what is a global team. Next Level Racing taking more and more steps into sim racing as a whole in terms of partnering with series. They've also partnered with the Lionheart Retro Series, which we'll see live here on RaceBot TV in a week's time. Next Thursday gets underway, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. Join us from Homestead Miami Speedway for the first race of the Lionheart Retro Series presented by Next Level Racing. There is David Duong in that inverted livery, number 19 car. And this Fiesta, we have multiple Rallycross cars here on iRacing, but this is the one with the shortest of the wheelbases. And one thing that we were kind of discussing just before we went live, Will, is the fact that because we've got a little bit more fuel on this car than sometimes you'd have in the short races that Rallycross presents, it's pushed down to the ground a little bit more, and with the four-wheel drive, somehow, kind of counterintuitively to what you'd think, it goes faster.
Yeah, I find that kind of crazy, but you know, when you start to think about it, more weight over the tires, you get better traction, more ability to grip the surface, because these things slide about so much, like even under braking. Like we'll see into the hairpin today. I'm not sure the name of that. I'm sure you'll be able to come up with it in a second. But it's really hard to get them stopped, and you almost need to use the handbrake really well, getting it really slow onto the apex and kind of making sure you get that traction out of the corner. The traction is absolutely crucial to lap time there, and you'll definitely see people starting to take more of a later apex, I'd say.
On board with Liam Neely in the number 10 Fordzilla machine, just 15 years of age. Recent member as well to Fordzilla, having only joined at the start of 2022, has raced in the Ginetta Juniors, finished second in that championship. He's here to have some fun, but he also takes sim racing extremely seriously. But a taste of what we're in for. We've seen the rolls, we've seen the contact. You saw a car short-cutting the circuit just a moment ago. Our prize is on the line, of course, but we are here to celebrate all things sim racing and really let loose these beasts. Look at the jump. Look at the airtime that these cars are going to get. You also will note that in iRacing, you use the throttle, you use the brakes to balance the car as you come over each of these jumps. Very similar to what you'll see in the real world. Get on the power, you'll get the nose of the car pointed up a little bit more on the brakes, drag the weight down forward. The nose will pitch down, almost kind of like you're flying an airplane with a little less control. You'll see the lap times as well, dipping to potentially the 120s. And top of the practice times right now is Jim Beaver Esports' Josh Edmondson, and the driver that we kind of expected to be the fastest of the entire race that we've got forthcoming, because this is a driver that's got plenty of Pro Trucks experience, tried to qualify for the Rallycross World Championship last year as well. And with Jim Beaver Esports behind him, we know their pedigree on dirt racing overall. Of course, those who are frequent watchers of iRacing and these dirt events will know the Jim Beaver General Tire Short Course Series that is actually airing on CBS Sports US television in the next couple of weeks. The thing that springs out to me, though, is he's not running away with this one as much as I kind of thought he would, Will. You've got Miguel Castro, who is not too far behind, although having said that, now that gap is up to 1.1 seconds.
I was just about to say that. I was thinking the same line of thinking that, because I was like, oh, he's not as far ahead as I maybe expect. But then look at him put that 22.1 in there. I mean, that's a very fast time. Clearly, looking at how these cars are performing in this session. And I can tell you, Sean is not slow. We were struggling last night for to beat Sean. I don't know how he was so fast. As I say, Sean is primarily a racer of R Factor and Assetto Corsa Competizione. I think we've seen Sean do I think it was the I'm going to get it wrong here, but it's like the sprint rounds, the LMP rounds before.
The Le Mans Cup, that's what they were called.
Yeah, the Le Mans, yeah, that was it. The LMP3 Le Mans
I got
Cup.
you.
But yeah, no, he was doing really well on that and stuff. And it's interesting to see how. I know it's a lovely setup, isn't it?
Pablo GoPro Lopez, one of the longest streamers of iRacing. It must be streaming now for almost a full decade, but you see the setup he's got there. We get the live onboard Twitch look with what his viewers are seeing as well. And GoPro actually won in the IRX All-Star Invitational at his home track of the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. That was a little bit too sideways. One thing that I always thought was fast in Rallycross was sideways, but the reality is when you're going sideways, the movement of the car is pushing you the direction that you don't want to go, which is forward, right? So it's kind of counterintuitive. Dirt racing is about getting the car turned in and then trying to go forward as fast as you can here.
Absolutely, and I think that's something that, you know, as you start to realize that when you're driving this car, it really helps you find the time. I think once you realize that you don't ever approach it like any sort of road event where you're trying to carry as much speed as possible, you know, sometimes you're aiming for exits depending on what car you're driving, really. But I think here you really don't even need to carry the speed in. You just need to get it rotated on the apex and just get it out, as like you say, getting it going as forward as quickly as possible. And you can really see the difference with the drivers that have been able to master that. Someone like Emre, who's doing a fantastic job, and Josh Edmondson, obviously with his previous experience.
So looking at the times right now, you'll see on the left side of your screen, red is the next level community and the staff and the ambassadors. Blue are your Fordzilla pros. Emre Cian is second. Sim racer since 2015, your 2021 ADAC GT Masters GT4 esports champion. That was on Race Room, but he does like a bit of iRacing, and look at him in control of that car as he goes flying through the air and off to the grass as well. And that is a yoink on the handbrake and then some. One thing that you had talked about, but when we were discussing this track, Will, is the fact that there's a couple of these hairpins where slowing the car down is so very difficult, and that's why we may see some of these drivers with less dirt experience just using that handbrake and trying to just spin their way through the corners in effect.
Yeah, no, it's very, very amazing how little the brakes feel like they work when you're driving one of these cars. You end up getting on the brakes and you're not stopping that much. So I at least found that it was a lot easier to start to slow the car down if you started to kind of drift it into the corner and use the handbrake. And I think that's what a lot of drivers here are using today.
Well, that's the wrong way, Mr. Emre, and I think he realizes that big smile on his face. Can tell that this is some fun. This is not what we see these drivers doing a lot of the time. That's the beauty of sim racing. You can go from racing on the high banks of Daytona for a 500-mile race in a stock car, to then going to the streets of Belle Isle in an Indy car, go to the Circuit de la Sarthe in the French countryside with an LMP1 car, and don't forget as well, you can go sprint racing, dirt wing cars here on iRacing, go inside the Chili Bowl, of course, then Rallycross and this fantastic Crandon facility, which also usually sees your Pro 4, Pro 2 trucks taking to center stage. So 16 minutes are left in practice. It is now Edmondson and Castro back to 1 and 2. Still a 1 second buffer that Edmondson enjoys over the entirety of the field. You have 3 of your Fordzilla drivers inside the top 10. Here's Adam Briggs, head of digital marketing for the Next Level Racing team from Queensland, Australia. Like I mentioned before, they've got an international team for Next Level Racing. And over the jumps they go. This is a great view as he'll bump into one of the Fordzilla drivers. Some friendly bumping and banging. One thing to note as well when it comes to the dynamic model of the tracks here in iRacing is you'll see through the corners especially that there's a groove of dirt that will build up as drivers go through it. That will slick it on up. They'll kick up a cushion in effect where the excess dirt will get displaced. And I have a feeling that with this Rallycross car, you're going to want to stay in the slick for a lot of the time, but you might use that cushion to, like that Fordzilla driver did there, slow that momentum down and get that car turned in.
Yeah, I can imagine we'll see a variation of lines, and I think if you want to understand what's best, I'd probably watch Josh Edmondson. I think that he's going to be the pace setter for this field today. Obviously, like we said, with his experience, and it'll still be interesting to see though as he goes faster again now. Oh, unbelievable, 4/10 faster than his previous time. It'll be interesting to see if he'll be like caught off the start, because obviously we said I think it's what 10 for the front row. So
yes.
If some people can get a good start here, it'll be interesting to see if he gets caught up in the traffic and whether he can just run away with it or not.
Well, Evan Pasoko is Mr. Side by Side, but you can't say side by 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 side fast enough to actually bring that into a race. So I'm just going to bring that up there. 10 wide to the start. You're going to have to be careful. Car on the inside, as long as he gets the launch, might be in a good position as we now jump on board with one of our Next Level ambassadors. And now Lewis McClade is a pro when it comes to saying this name. I'm not so pro, but I'm going to give it an attempt. Lubiov Otsarevskovskaya, who we did see compete in the VCO Pro Sim series, where we had the best of the real world and virtual come together, and it was the Otsarevskovskaya family working with one another, husband and wife partnership, always entertaining when it comes to the races, and another driver that will be streaming her point of view of today's action. This is calm, this is cool, this is collected, this is what Rallycross is meant to be about. You think it's about going crazy and pedal to the metal, but that's not always what's fast. Sometimes you back it down and that's where you find the speed, and it's what we like to see here in practice. Now, she hasn't set a time just yet, but as she comes over the jumps into the final couple of corners, we'll get the indication of how fast she's going to be here today. Now, there is a bit of separation in terms of the lap times here, kind of what we expected. Josh Edmondson is about 2.5 seconds clear of 10th position. However, there was only about 1.1 seconds separating 2nd through 10th. So at a track like this where consistency, I think, is going to be difficult, that's not a big margin for some of these drivers to be dealing with.
No, and I think it can go either way, because I think when it comes to qualifying, obviously we've got an open qualifying session here today, 15 minutes long, so you're going to have enough time to compose yourself and get a lap in. But I think we don't want to underestimate how you still need to perform to get that lap together. Like, we could see a variation in people that you may see who are up in the top 5 at the minute could end up further back in qualifying if they aren't able to get that lap together, get the clean air that they need to set one of these laps. And it's definitely going to be an interesting race.
So here's Sean Arnold. Let's see if we can jump on board with Josh Edmondson, who's about to start a lap here at the Crandon International Off-Road Raceway. So there he comes over the start-finish line. That is not where we actually start the race. It is just the finish line. In towards the first couple of corners. You've got to be very, very tentative here as you come down through the Champion Power corner into the first of the long banked hairpins that leads you onto this short back straightaway here, because through Argonne Corner, if you lose a bit of time, you lose a bit of momentum, it will open the opportunity for people to try and sling it down the inside into Cowboy Hairpin, where we're going to see some moves. And Josh Edmondson, look at him sending that car into the corner. So clearly he has found a little bit of time in a way that maybe other people aren't going to be able to do. This is where we'll start the race. Off to the right-hand side, this will be the first corner of the lap, or of the race, I should say. It's a banked, cambered in corner, up and over a couple of jumps as you throw yourself into a left-hand sweeping corner. Watch on the exit as you've got to be very tentative with your power application. Modulate the throttle to ensure that you're pointing where you need to go. 3 corners left to go. First up is the Polaris gravel pit corner. Another opportunity to see Edmondson really just chuck it into the corner, get it stopped, and then get on the power. Don't think that's the quickest way to do it, but now into Calamity Corner, and aptly named because you're going to see some carnage through this corner, potentially on the final lap, and Josh Edmondson will come across the line. 21.867, his benchmark, not that far off, and that's the consistency that we'd expect from him. He is definitely going to be the man to beat. Pablo Lopez has now jumped up into second, but again, 1 second off the pace is all. That's hooking each other off into the grass. That's not friendly.
I think watching one of the, obviously we've seen that incident there, but we'll see plenty of those across the course of tonight. One of the most interesting things I watched there, and I'd never watched much of this pro rallycross stuff, but the lowest gear he used in that lap, it looked like to me, was maybe third briefly. And I find that really interesting because obviously we were emphasizing how important the traction is, but I think just looking at the guy who's on top here, how interesting it is to see that type of driving style to drive this car fast.
That's something we see at times, and we've got Pablo GoPro Lopez jumping in with us right now. Pablo, well, you're here to have some fun. How much fun are you having trying out this very unique combination?
This is amazing, man. I love the dirt on this iRacing, and with these cars in this track is amazing. You will see some sideways action, and let's see if we can beat Josh because she's looking really fast.
Well, you got to do some virtual dirt racing with the IRX All-Star Invitational, where you did win at the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya, and then you managed to take that into the real world, where you did some what was it called? Carcross, Artesio Carcross Trophy. How does that compare, real versus virtual?
It's quite similar. The track is going grippier at the pass of the time, and well, these cars are way powerful in the virtual world, but yeah, the real ones were hectic as well, with no rear diff and motorbike engine and 300 kilos with 130 horsepower. It was an amazing experience sharing car with Palo and everyone that went there, and I think it's the best thing we can get into the dirt for iRacing, and I will try to beat everybody here and enjoy, of course.
You've been sim racing for more than a decade. You've been a top-level sim racer for more than a decade. Why do you enjoy this so much? Every time I look at one of your streams, you got a big smile on your face and you just seem like you're having an absolute blast.
I mean, it's the never give up sentence. I think I love racing. Racing is in my passion, and whatever is virtual or real, I enjoy it. I mean, whatever. I just enjoy to drive the simulator or real life and share it with all my people.
And now with Fordzilla, you've been doing lots of things in January, February. You got to travel to Monte Carlo to see the rally there. How much fun is it having Ford and Fordzilla behind you in all your endeavors?
I mean, it's really unbelievable sometimes because I couldn't expect to be with Sebastian Loeb there, eating in the Monaco port, and watching all the Puma Rally 1 cars just meters from me, and also sometimes I miss to be at home and do more streams, to be honest, but I get the opportunity to do that, and I have to take it.
Thanks for joining us, Pablo. Best of luck today in what is going to be a fun race, probably for second, because it does seem like Josh Edmondson is just saying goodbye to everyone else.
Maybe we will put a roadblock on some part of the track. I don't know. Tactics.
Good luck, Pablo.
Thank you, Arjuna. See ya.
That was the always happy, always effervescent Pablo GoPro Lopez. That's what they may need to do to stop that man. Josh Edmondson has put a roadblock up here at Crandon, Will.
I think that if we can deploy a Team Fordzilla roadblock, that might be a great achievement for us tonight to stop Josh Edmondson. But I think it's great to see someone like that in action, as it really does show you the level that even like dirt road and as we see from also dirt oval and the trucks as well, the level that people are at, and it gives you a good. It's always good to have a good marker to look towards, because it means you can kind of compare yourself. And a lot of the people here today that have come for just a bit of fun, or to maybe even try and win a prize, they can compare themselves to one of the best in these dirt road cars. And I think it's a good thing. Obviously, sometimes not when they completely run away with it, but I think it is a good thing for the other guys here to see.
Well, it's getting closer and closer at the front, although having said that, Josh Edmondson just seems to be getting faster and faster and faster. Now Fordzilla second through fourth, with Jack Ashton sitting comfortably in sixth. Jack Ashton has been doing real-world racing since 2013, and we've seen him do plenty of MX-5 racing here on RaceSpot TV, including in the Ivor Club Cup, some dramatic finishes against the likes of Dave Chapman, but switches a Mazda for a Ford here today. Two-wheel drive to four-wheel drive, going pretty quick. In fifth, it's Miguel Castro. Then in seventh, we've got the lovely Pablo Castro, a man whose Twitch army adores him.
Oh, he's so popular. Doesn't everyone love a bit of Pablo? I think he's probably one of the most, if not the most popular iRacing streamer, and it's great to see him participating today in front of what is undoubtedly hundreds of people who will be either memeing on him or cheering him along. I'm not quite sure what, but it's always great to see Pablo drive.
Both at the same time, and every time I now think of Pablo, I think back to the iRacing 24 Hours of Daytona, where between hours 7 through 12, when I was on commentary duties, we weren't just watching the race, but we were watching Pablo stream to monitor his heart rate. His teammate did a 10-hour stint to get things started, and then Pablo jumped in a fight for the lead, and it was a fight. Don't get us wrong, it's a 24-hour race, but they were going at it hammer and tongs in hour 11 of the race, and his heart rate was a rather remarkable 160 beats per minute. We were a little bit scared that his heart was going to go and just bounce out of his body, but that's one thing that I was talking with our RaceBot team member Tyler Maxon about, Will, is, you know, he's a real-world racer. He's got experience in IMSA competition, did a 24-hour Dubai race earlier this year in a BMW M4 GT3 car, and the thing that he said is that his heart rate in the sim is always higher than it is in real life, which I find fascinating.
I don't know. I had a bit of real-world experience myself. I did a bit of karting, and I always got nervous, but I always found that when you, in real life at least, when you were able to get into a zone and it was to get going, I always feel like you kind of settled down and you focus on doing the job. Maybe you just become more aware in the sim. And I think to some extent that's why I prefer race stints to qualifying stints, because qualifying, there seems to be so much pressure, there's so much build-up. Can you produce the lap that you know you can under the pressure and in the moment? As I think that's Pablo going to second. What a hero.
It's not just going to second, but he then on the exit had some contact and found himself in the infield, jumping over a barrier. Hopefully that's not indicative of what we're in for, but at least for now, that gap out front has come down to below a second. All it's going to take is Josh Edmondson getting a difficult launch. Now, you did some laps yesterday. Did you try and do a practice start with these cars?
Yes, I did, and I do know I believe you have to launch it in like second or third gear, I believe. And I used second, and it seemed to work yesterday. I think realistically, we just need to see what Josh does, and if you can copy it in real time, maybe you can also get an amazing start too. Yeah, I think you want to be trying to, as we've seen from watching Josh's laps on board, you want to be minimizing the wheel spin, maximizing your traction by using the higher gears in order to gain time here.
Florian Denzler in front of Edmondson as they'll work their way down in towards the Argonne corner. Just watches Edmondson, so smooth, so calm as he balances the weight of that car around the track, and That's what's going to make fast drivers. 60 seconds left in practice, so we're not far away from kicking off the 15-minute open qualifying session. And we'll remind you of the prizes that are up for grabs for our community members. If they qualify in first, they will win a Next Level Racing FGT cockpit. And if a winner also wins the race outright, they will win a Formula GT Elite cockpit. That will be the frame only. The disclaimer there is if Josh Edmondson wins the race, qualifies in first, he won't get both. He'll only get the one that has the highest value, which I believe would be the FGT Elite cockpit. So there's no double dipping for Josh Edmondson. He will very much be looking to maximize, though, the showcase here today. And again, we're paying out iRacing credits to the drivers that finish in the top 10 of our community over the course of the race. $50 to first, $25 to second. Third gets 10, while fourth through 10 we get a $5 iRacing credit each. Good enough to buy some of the upcoming content on the horizon, because we are only a week and a half away from, in fact, no, we're probably 2 weeks away from the new iRacing build, the surprises it might have in store for us. We'll see. Well, here we go. Qualifying is going to be underway. And like Will was saying, it's an open qualifying session. So what do you do here, Will, to try and find a bit of clean air? Because it's not like we're in open wheel cars at Monza, for example. You don't want anyone in front of you to mess your lap up.
I think that people are definitely going to be looking to try and find those couple second gaps. You know, you're going to see people like Josh kind of aiming to get behind someone who's also quick, so they can almost judge the gap in front of them a little bit better. And I think as we see here, Josh is currently second on the road with only Javier in front of him, who's a Team Fordzilla driver. One of the nicest people in sim racing. He's such a nice guy. So yeah, you'll see people managing the gaps, trying to leave themselves enough room in order to get their lap together cleanly. Because if you end up coming across a car, you're going to be kind of diving in and out of lines. I think when you tend to watch racing here, you'll see that you'll get a lot of crossovers. You'll get cars going in, and you can really send it into the corner, get the move done, but then you'll be compromised on the exit. So I think it's really important to make sure you're not trying to make any passing maneuvers during this qualifying session and giving yourself as big a gap as possible.
I think we should have a last-minute decision to tell Josh Edmondson he's not allowed to qualify. I think that would be fun. Lost the first challenge. It's almost guaranteed that he's going to storm to pole position here as he'll round himself through the Polaris gravel pit, up and over the final jump for the final corner at Calamity Corner. Nicely under control. He's got one of the Team Fordzilla cars just up the road in front of him, and across the line did a 121 in practice, and he's gone slightly faster. First time of asking, a 121.252. Sean Arnold second provisionally with a 22.8, as Sheehan will actually steal that away from him. Time's about to start coming in thick and fast here as Edmondson. Well, that's going to be this qualifying attempt done. He will have the opportunity to reset to pit lane and go once more. But currently, only one of the community members has a lap on the board. It's Fordzilla, second through sixth.
Yeah, I think one thing to mention here is when you go to a road event or even an oval event, ovals obviously being a little bit shorter, you have like not much of so you have quite a bit of an outlap before you get to doing a lap. But here, you turn like one corner and you're already into your lap. So it's really easy, if you mess up your lap, to reset and start again. So you're not going to be short of lap attempts here. You're not going to have to do a full outlap of tyre preparation or something like that. So it's going to mean that people will get plenty of attempts in, and we should see a good representation from everyone. Everyone should be able to get in a lap good enough to show themselves off pretty well. But then again, qualifying, you get under pressure, you never know what can happen.
You were saying you don't always like the pressure of qualifying, but that's when diamonds can be made. There's your team boss, by the way. Oh, as Coti Iglesias will have a bit of contact with one and then another. A sim racer since 2009, but been playing racing games since 1992 on the Super Nintendo. That was before I was even born. No longer an active driver, but he is ready to show his steeds exactly what this is all about. That's obviously not going to be a good lap for him, and it will be invalidated by virtue of the contact as well. You have to have a clean lap for it to be counted during this qualifying session, so he'll have to up and go again, back and on board with the 59. We saw him make a mistake here last time by, and you were talking about the difficulty of getting slowed down into that hairpin. Gian doing a good job there.
Yeah, I'm so impressed with the guys that have just done iRacing for this event and managed to go so fast. But then again, it's maybe a tendency of them not having preconceived conceptions of how to drive the cars, because I think you see a lot of the really quick road racers here, like Liam and Mike, and they're tending to struggle because they're almost driving the car a little bit more like a road car and they're not using the same conventions as maybe Emre and Sean have kind of developed through having less experience. So it's interesting. I found it fascinating to see. I didn't expect it, to be honest, but I think it's testament to how good of the drivers they are and why we have them on board here at Team Fordzilla.
It's an interesting line being taken through Calamity Corner, I think setting up for another flying lap as a third of this qualifying session already in the books. Edmondson has dipped below the 121s. Here's Jack Ashton to the inside, working himself in towards that final start-finish line over the jumps. He stays in 10th as Konomos will jump up into the top 5. GoPro Lopez goes up into 2nd. He's 1 second back from Edmondson, but there might as well be a galaxy between Josh Edmondson and the rest of the field. The fight is going to be about who can grab 2nd in this qualifying, unless someone gets the afterburners dialed up to maximum and puts in a flyer of a lap time. That was another interesting line from Jack Ashton, but I think there is just plenty of experimenting and experimentation going on from a lot of these drivers, because you talked about people coming over to iRacing for the first time. They may not understand, some of the weird things about iRacing. Each sim does things slightly differently when it comes to the physical driving model. But even for drivers like Ashton, who's got plenty of iRacing experience, a lot of what he knows in the other cars is not going to apply to what he's doing right now.
You can basically throw the rulebook that you've learned completely out the window. This is absolutely nothing like tarmac racing, oval or even road itself. It's completely different, and I do believe like the dirt model has changed over time during its time on this service so far, and yeah, like it's such a different experience, but it is so much fun. I can't stress how much the guys have been saying they're having so much fun doing this. Like, okay, they're all going to be competitive, and I know Emre was doing laps last night, call him out for try-harding. But I think it's great to see that it is so much fun, because I think when you have something like this, it's a bit more light-hearted for a lot of drivers, especially the people that are pro on road or try and go for the pro events and the top split categories. Having a series such as Dirt Road where they can just go to have fun and not affect any of the road licenses is one of the great parts of iRacing and its 4 licensed divisions.
Couple of other issues in qualifying as we get towards the halfway marker of this open qualifying session. Plenty of cars having to take the tow back to pit lane. There's a car stranded on the exit of pit road as well. More and more cars rolling themselves off. The top 5, Edmondson, Pablo Lopez, Pablo Castro, Sean Arnold, and Emre Chihan, with Miguel Castro, Kenny Konomos, Javier Roman, Ayrton Hoffman, Nicholas Lenardon. The top 10 here. You do have plenty of blue, but the red coming on strong. The community, the staff, the ambassadors for Next Level Racing. Edmondson leads the way. Pablo GoPro Lopez trying to go quicker and quicker each time by. Will we see anyone dip below the 120s? I don't think that's really a realistic proposition. You did see the weather conditions slightly earlier. It is a cool day here. And usually when it comes to the tarmac, the road side of iRacing, that would be a good sign for the amount of grip, but I think it's slightly different here on the dirt because of the way that the tire is making contact with the ground, the patches, those 4 contact patches that it does have. GoPro Lopez gets it parked on the apex as he works his way up in towards the start zone for the race, that grass on the outside, where we'll get things underway in that 10 wide formation. That is going to be frantic. I can't wait to see what that looks like. The best starting shots that you'll find in any series on the planet.
It's going to be fantastic, and I can confirm that everyone in the top 10 will be on the front row. So it's one of those. That's stolen a bit from Mike last night. Mike was in 10th, and he said, "So at least I'm going to be on the front row," which always makes me laugh. You know, Mike, another addition to our team this year, who is he's infinitely funny. He is such a great guy to be around, and yeah, I'm so looking forward to this race, Arjuna.
I can hear the smile on your face, but you talk about Mike Wagner, self-described as having skills in smiling that don't match his ability to race. Now, I have no doubt that doing something like this will put the smile on his face. There's the Sean Arnold number 22 as he works himself onto that back straightaway. Sheehan's gone up in front of Arnold, as there's another one of the Fordzilla cars really getting it rotated around. I love watching the car squat down on the brakes and just how out of control they seem, but that's where the best will find that grip. They'll find that speed, as now 10 minutes will be done. That final third of qualifying about to get underway. When the checkered flag drops, you will be allowed to finish the lap that you're on. The question will be, is it a flyer? How much do you want to risk it at that point in time? Surely you want to get some banker laps in right now. We do have 31 cars that will be lining up for this race. Only 3 of them have not set a qualifying lap time just yet. That includes Blake Boylan, Sergio Martinez, and Miguel Castro. I do see a Will Chadwick entered for the race, but Will, you're up here in the commentary booth with me.
I was gonna be spectating, and I accidentally registered for the race. It's okay. I haven't took anyone's place. You never know. Maybe a surprise effort at the line to jump onto the grid to cause some havoc.
That'll be mayhem. You'll get the wild Will Chadwick out there on the line. Here's Edmondson once more, who has gone down to a 27.89, as now Emre Sheehan jumps in front of Pablo Castro to make it a Fordzilla 2-3. 3 of their cars up in the top 5. That is car control. That is why. Oh, is he going to hit a roadblock in the form of one of the next level staff members in that silver NLR machine? No, it was just off the track. Didn't get a good look at who that was. Will we see more of that? The reality is, if Edmondson is not going to win this one, it's going to be because there is chaos and there is carnage on the run down into the first corner. Now, the question will be, how do you approach it if you're Edmondson? How cautious are you going to be? Are you going to maybe be looking in your mirrors just that little bit more as he rounds the final corner? Can he improve once more? 27.89 the benchmark, a 23.33. He has chopped out 0.4 of a second on that lap. He might well dip into the 119s before the checkered flag flies for qualifying.
The level that Josh is bringing here is absolutely unbelievable, and it's clear to see. This is fixed setup, by the way. Fixed setup with a few clicks of fuel added so we can make sure that everyone goes the race distance. It's clear to see, like, the level that he is performing at is insane. Maybe in himself he'll come in and say he didn't do a very good job, and I'm sure he'll know like how well he can perform. But I mean, you look at someone like Pablo Castro or Pablo Lopez, they're not bad at this by any means. You know, Pablo Castro has 5K iRating on the dirt road side. So, you know, he's nearly going on 6K. He's not bad at this whatsoever. It's just a level that how good Josh Edmondson is performing here.
That's like me when I realized what my pace was like compared to Josh Rogers, for example. That's just the way that it goes. That was the onboard look with Kenny Konomos, who is part of the Next Level staff, but also, I don't know if he's still a member of Altus Esports, but he has been in the past, has done some racing outside of iRacing for the Logitech G Altus team, as Javier Roman will slide his way up into 4th. Virtual reality, not something that we see at the World Championship level, at least when it comes to the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series, when it comes to the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup. It is something you see a little bit more with the Rallycross and the Dirt Oval, the World of Outlaws World Championship Series. because you get that peripheral vision, you've got that ability to look where the car is going just that little bit more. Have you tried virtual reality, Will? What's your opinion of it?
I really want to try it. In terms of the roadside, like you say, I believe that like triples or ultra wides or just single screen is better for longevity. However, I'm so looking forward to the day I get to properly try virtual reality. The first time I ever tried it was like at some random racing event, which was not like a proper headset or anything. So I might have to go around to Javier's or Jack's and find out what it's like to use a really good high-end virtual reality headset.
I know some of my teammates who do a lot of IndyCar racing, they live and die by the virtual reality, but as of now, I don't believe out of any of the 75 World Championship drivers in the NASCAR, eNASCAR series or the Porsche Esports Super Cup series, I don't believe any one of them currently uses a virtual reality headset. For those who have watched Rallycross here on iRacing in the past, you'll know the name Stilian Chepelevsky, and you'll know the fantastic simulator that he's built, not just having the virtual reality, but very much replicating everything around him. So even though he's cocooned in his own little world, still has that little bit of a nice touch. So qualifying, the time is about to expire, and remember, we will have the opportunity for anyone who has started a lap to finish the lap that they're on. One of the next level community members flies over the line. That will be his qualifying just about done. That was Wes Graham in the number 88 car with a 22.930. Josh Edmondson, is he going to go faster? He's got one final opportunity as he works his way in towards the gravel pit for one final attempt. Fordzilla second, third, fourth, and fifth right now. So if anyone's going to win the qualifying prize, it will be Josh Edmondson. Question is, will he go faster? Through Calamity Corner, the final time for Edmondson, a 24.84. It's not an improvement, but it is still pole position as Pablo Castro goes up to third right at the death.
And that is, well, I think we'll still have a couple more people on the qualifying lap, and I don't know if, obviously we see the 88 of Wes Graham here, looking to improve from his current 12th position. But yeah, Pablo Castro managing to slung it up in there, and he's won the battle of the Pablos in the qualifying session.
Yeah, that's the battle between the battle to keep our eyes out on. And it's not just the battle of the Pablos, it's the battle of the Twitch streamers as well. While the final drivers set their lap times, no improvement there for the 88. We're going to step aside for a few minutes, but don't go anywhere. The 10-minute sprint here in the Team Fordzilla versus Next Level Racing Rally Fiesta is coming up next. So here's the starting grid for the 10-minute showdown to complete the Next Level Racing Team Fordzilla Rally Fiesta event here at the start of 2022. Josh Edmondson blitzes the field with a 1:23.33. He'll line up on the inside of the 10-wide starting front row with Emre Sheehan, Pablo Castro, and Pablo Lopez rounding out the top four. Javier Roman and Sean Arnold complete the top six with 4 Fordzilla cars inside those top 6 spots, while Kenny Economos and Miguel Castro, 7th and 8th, will line up alongside Mike Wagner and Jack Ashton your first row of the grid. Ayrton Hoffman, Wes Graham, 11th and 12th on the inside of row number 2, with Florian Denzler and Liam McNeely 13th and 14th. Team manager for Team Fordzilla, Cody Iglesias, starts alongside Sergio Romar with Nicholas Lerden and Zach Christie 17th and 18th, while on the outside of row 2, Libya Otarevskoskaya and Alejandro Lado will line up there. David Duong and Adam Brake, the next level staff members, inside of row 3 with Ruben Rodriguez and Miguel Castro 23rd and 24th. And we'll cycle through the names here because we are 10 seconds away from getting underway here. 10 minutes on the board. Josh Edmondson has already won a prize, but will he convert to something even bigger? A look at those cars ready to race, land rush style, down into turn number 1. Engines begin to rev. We're ready to race at the Crandon International Off-Road Raceway. Let's go racing here at Crandon, and what a sight that is. Already almost 15 abreast, and there's the carnage, there's the chaos. About 7 different Fordzilla cars getting mixed up in that one, but Josh Edmondson will lead the way into turn 1. A bit more contact, a bit more sliding behind, a 360 done by Miguel Castro. Edmondson runs away with the race lead here, Will.
That was absolute chaos, like we expected, but it's not all over for the people that have had a crash there. Remember, we have got no damage on for this 10-minute event here, so everyone is still within a chance of getting a better position in this race, so it's not over yet for everyone.
Looks like Lubia Otarevskoskaya has had to take the tow back to pit lane, so even though there's no damage, maybe just put in a position where she was forced to take the tow, very similar to what we saw from Pablo Castro. There's the finish line. So we've officially started lap number 1. It took us half a lap to get there, though. Already 1.5 seconds the gap between Edmondson and Sheehan, who's got a bit of separation between the cars fighting for 3rd and 4th, Konomos and Lenodon, excuse me, as they work their way down. Timing tower gonna cycle around on this opening lap with cars all out of position, but it is Edmondson that's in the lead as they come down into the cowboy turn, slinging it for a potential move at the 29, as at least for now, staff member for Next Level Racing holding off one of the community members. Just trying to take a look at what's happened here. I see Pablo GoPro Lopez, another car that is out of this race. It was a chaotic, calamitous start for the Fordzilla team, Will.
Yeah, I think we saw quite a lot of contact there, and I believe Pablo might be waiting for someone to push him back over onto his wheels.
Oh.
He seems to be just sat there.
He is upside down. There he is, spinning the rear wheels, and there, oh! Space shuttle status for Pablo GoPro Lopez, who's still on his roof. He was waiting for almost an entire lap, and it has not ended the way that he wanted. Not sure which car it was that tried to give him the helping hand, but at least for the time being, he is still stuck there and stationary. Oh, that was glorious. That needs to be on a not top 10 somewhere.
Oh, that was absolutely fantastic. Did you see the way he somersaulted through the air? It was fantastic. He has, however, unfortunately reset to pit lane now. Here we get to another look at the start, and as you can see, just getting uncomfortable over the bumps, and a lot of cars into one doesn't go.
I think that was Pablo on Pablo contact that actually set things off, and there was the 14 car that went off the road. That was Adrian Suestre, excuse me, that was the one that had the moment there. Konomos has got past Sheehan up into second. That's a good move as they work themselves into where we started this race about 3 minutes ago, but getting very sideways over the jump, pitching his car around. Sheehan might have opened the door for Pablo Castro to come and join the party as well. And if that was Pablo on Pablo contact, I tell you, that 98 car has done a good job to still be up there in the mix for the podium spots.
I do believe Pablo did have like a rather large setback to start this race, and he's managed to bring down the gap, and now we've got an absolutely... Oh no!
Oh! And that's another moment of absolute insanity, as I think that was Konomos that came up across as Pablo Castro was trying to get through. Now, again, damage is turned off, so at least Pablo Castro will be smiling, although if he has a direct drive wheel, maybe not smiling as much. With the amount of force that it looked like he was launched into the gantry on the inside. Just watch here as now you can see there's the gantry, and yeah, now if you're in virtual reality, you're gonna need a sick bag next to you.
Yeah, I would not like to be in that car, especially in real life or virtual reality, like you say. I can confirm Pablo's heart rate before that was sitting at 116, so he clearly gets still very, very competitive in these races, even when we're racing for a bit of fun here and some prizes tonight.
It's bragging rights. That's ultimately what it's about. No driver, whether they be sim or real, wants to finish second. They all want to win, as Konomos is going to be side by side with Sheehan, I think, for a moment, as Sheehan got all sorts of out of shapes over the jumps here. Remember what I was talking about earlier. You use the throttle and the brake to control the pitch of the car up and down, where the nose is pointing, that attitude of the car. You can't control the side to side pitch of the car. So I think once you end up sideways, if you take the jump just that slightly wrong direction, that's where things start to get unstuck. Now 6 seconds clear as Edmondson. It's all eyes on the battle for second spot.
Yeah, we're seeing a really, really good battle here between Emre and Kenny. I think it's going to go right down to the line here. Obviously, we've got Josh in another universe, who's currently 8 seconds up the road from everyone. Or was 8 seconds last time we went across the line, sitting at 7 on our live timing. But I think it's going to be a really interesting race here as we see a replay from the 29 car. Oh!
And that's what I was saying when it comes to the way that car actually takes over the jump. Once you are pointed in the wrong direction, you have very little control, and he does a Tony Hawk grind, but unfortunately gets stuck on that wall coming out over the start-finish line, and that's going to be day done for him. Second and third starting to run away from Zach Christie in fourth. Pablo Castro, by virtue of that contact with Konomos, has actually slid backwards through the field, and there's also some lap traffic starting to play a bit of a factor. That was the 14 car that we did see early having issues of his own. Now back up there in the mixes. We'll jump on board with Ayrton Hoffman, who's fighting with Zach Christie. 2 cars that have made up positions. Zach Christie has gained 14 positions from where he started.
And that is the benefit of staying out of trouble. Obviously started on the second row, starting in 18th position, and maybe he was just able to avoid some of that lap 1 carnage and keep his nose clean. Obviously we don't have any damage, so there's no benefit to effectively keeping your car clean in that sense, but avoiding contacts, avoiding incidents that cost you time, help you to gain the places here, and 4th place is a really good spot for him here. But you do see Ayrton Hoffman behind him, maybe going to start a challenge in the number 69 car.
Oh, and I thought for a second the C's were going to park there for Zach Christie, but no, he did get involved a little bit. But then more carnage into that first actual corner that you take, and more contact. For Zach Christie, it was a bumper car sort of start, but he has not let that set him back. He is focused forward, and now rides in 4th position, where he runs 3rd of your next level community drivers, so he will finish with 10 iRacing credits to his name if he can hold off the challenge from behind. That gap has opened up very slightly. It's also opened up between Sheehan and Konomos. The tune there about a full second at this point in time, as Hoffman actually gets stuck behind a little bit of lap traffic. Might open the door for Pablo Castro to close, who's now 4/10 back and closing bit by bit.
I was going to say, we can't count out Pablo Castro on his 50th comeback of this race so far. Obviously got the pace in the car with qualifying 3rd on the grid here today. And I think we're probably going to see an attempted pass for position here this lap on the 69 car. But then also probably has time still with probably, 2 laps left in this race to catch Kenny, potentially, depending on the pace?
Yeah, should be 2 laps, because we'll take the white flag by the time that you get to the line and can't do another lap before the clock ticks over to 0. Now, there have been cases where that's not always the case, as the 98 gets a bit of a helping hand through the corner from the 14, but we'll hold on to that one. And there's the gap coming down, zigzagging his way in towards that right-hand downhill sweeper, where we started this race off with so much action. Castro getting a little bit squirrely over the jump. That was another car. Oh, Zach Christie! Did Zach Christie get mixed up in something? Hoffman's gone up to 4th. Castro will get past for 5th as well. Now, was that with the lapped cars? That's potentially what I think one of our staff members for Next Level Racing. Let's see here, and it was. that I believe was the 14 that got all sorts of out of shape coming into the couple of jumps that you have there, and more trouble for Christie, who makes more contact with lapped cars, and he'll be bundled wide once more as Jack Ashton is in a fight with Adam Briggs for 9th and 10th positions. What a chaotic race this is proving to be.
Yeah, a bit of contact with lap cars, unfortunately, there. It's never amazing to see that happen, but mistakes do happen, and it is sad to see that happen to Zach. But it still does mean we have, Pablo and, sorry, I was just watching Pablo there, trying to gain back some more positions. But yeah, as we watch, I believe, where are we now?
It's Edmondson, who is coming through. Whoa, where is he? It's so hard to tell sometimes on the track. He's coming in towards the penultimate couple of corners, so it will be the checkered flag this time by for the Jim Beaver Esports driver, Josh Edmondson. Pole position to start things off. Dominant in this race as well. Plenty of chaos behind him. But Josh Edmondson has avoided the calamity as he'll come through Calamity Corner for the final time to win the Next Level Racing versus Team Fordzilla Rally Fiesta. And Josh Edmondson will win himself a Next Level Racing FGT Elite cockpit. What a drive from Jim Beaver Esports' Josh Edmondson. Dominant to the tune of 10 seconds clear of Emre Cihan.
I think he was an absolute excellent driver for Josh, and it's a testament to how he managed to stay out of trouble the entire time. And yeah, I'm really impressed with the performance he put out today.
There may be some drama because live timing is indicating that Miguel Castro has won this race, but we'll have to go to our race control team to determine this one, because Miguel Castro was not in the same zip code as Josh Edmondson for the vast majority of this race. And in fact, I think because Miguel Castro has had an incident on the final lap, it has scored him as the winner of this race. He took the tow, but we can confirm the winner was Josh Edmondson. We'll clarify things post-race and follow along on the Next Level Racing social medias to get the final word from all things here at the Crandon International Off-Road Raceway. What a drive it was from Josh Edmondson, and we were here to have some fun. Plenty of fun was had, Will.
Oh, it was absolutely fantastic. I mean, it's really great to have these type of community events where you get to see drivers of all different skill levels compete, and especially at a track like this with all the chaos and fantastic racing we've had here today.
So here's a look at the race result. Edmondson wins by 10 seconds, so Castro has now actually been scored where he was meant to be. Emre Cihan second, the Team Fordzilla driver, the only one standing up tall after a great qualifying result for the team. The start really put them on the back foot. Kenny Konomos in third for the Next Level staff. The Altus driver doing a great job there, with Ayrton Hoffman fourth, Pablo Castro through the top five, with Zach Christie, David Duong 6th and 7th. Other staff members there with Alejandro Lado, Jack Ashton, and Adam Briggs rounding out the top 10. 4 of the Next Level staff members sitting up there in that top 10. Cody Iglesias, the Team Fordzilla manager, said he wanted to teach the drivers how things were done. He does finish in front of the vast majority of his counterparts, but Wes Graham, Sergio Romar, Javier Roman, and Ruben Rodriguez will cycle through the top 15. Toby Wilson 16th, with Florian Densler down in 17th position, the final car on the lead lap, with Miguel Castro, Alvaro Garcia 18th and 19th, and Steve Wiper, the senior graphic artist for Next Level Racing, down in 20th. Then we get to the final couple of cars that finished on the lead lap before we find the likes of Sean Arnold, Miguel Castro, Pablo Lopez, and Ty Cuthbert, the 12-year-old, who was part of our Next Level ambassadors racing here today, all 2 laps down, while Mark Wagner and Liam McNeely didn't even survive the first lap. Neither did Lubiov Otsarevskovskaya, and don't worry, Will Chadwick was up here safely in the commentary booth. We wouldn't put the drivers at risk in that way. Well, I think that leads us very nicely to potentially having a quick chat with Josh Edmondson, who will try and dial up here from the RaceBot TV commentary booth in just a few moments' time. And I think now we actually do have a copy. Josh, you got us?
Yes, I do.
Well, that was dominant. I mean, you didn't really ever have much of a challenge there. This is not really a combo that we usually see, though. You have plenty of experience with Rallycross cars, plenty of experience here at Crandon. What was it like when you threw them together?
Yeah, it's actually a lot of fun. The way you drive those cars is different from everywhere else. You really have to toss it into the corner, handbrake or Scandinavian flick, so it's a lot of fun. It's definitely a lot different. Having all that truck background in rally definitely helps me. I think I had advantage. I probably have more laps at that track than anybody out there, so a little bit of advantage there for sure.
And you are obviously part of Jim Beaver Esports. You have a partnership with Next Level Racing. What are you going to do with this FGT Elite cockpit that now you've won by virtue of winning here at Crandon?
Man, I'm excited because I've been slowly upgrading things, and the aluminum profile rig like that is just awesome because all the endless stuff you can do with it. So yeah, I'm already daydreaming about it. I'm so stoked to get that thing.
And now, what are your plans for 2022, Josh? Of course, we see you competing in the General Tire E Short Course Series here on iRacing. There's a new World Championship coming up with the trucks as well. I'm sure that's going to be one of the focuses for the year for you.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the big focus for me is the World Championship. And then, yeah, we have another event tonight, actually, that goes off. It's Crandon Pro 4, the Jim Beaver Triple Crown. And that's always cool, racing, you know, with the guys like Pastrana and all the best sim guys, and getting to see it on TV is cool. So, yeah, looking forward to that one tonight. And then, yeah, the Pro 4 Championship is going to be the main focus after that.
Well, a win here today and some hardware going your way. A win hopefully later tonight live on national television. Best of luck for 2022, Josh, and congratulations on your win here today.
Yeah, thanks again. Thanks to you guys putting on this broadcast. Stoked to go watch it, and Next Level Racing for putting this on.
Your winner, Josh Edmondson, here from the Crandon International Raceway. And Will, I mean, let's recap what we saw. Domination from one man, and then plenty of fun behind him.
Yeah, it was a really good race, especially for that second position. I think we had maybe 5-6 contenders for that position at different points in time in the race. I think we saw some very good racing and also quite a bit of carnage too, which was really fun.
Does this make you want to drive a Rallycross car anymore? Because it is one of the few Fords that you actually can drive here on iRacing as a Fordzilla driver.
I do have a soft spot for the Rallycross, and I would like to get into it more as this year goes on, but I've got a lot of commitments in road at the minute, so we might have to wait for maybe a December grind late on this year, maybe when I've got a bit more free time, but you might see me in a Rallycross car sometime soon, you never know.
Let's quickly recap the format of this event and what all happened. We had that 30-minute long practice session, 15 minutes of qualifying, and then a 10-minute race. We pitted 12 of the finest from Team Fordzilla, the professional esports team, against the Next Level Stuff and the Next Level Racing community. The winner from the community, if he won the entire race, would win a Next Level cockpit. Because Josh Edmondson won both qualifying and the race, he's only going to get one of them, but a very successful day overall for him. For the top 10 in the community, we'll pay out some iRacing credits as well, so they're not going to walk home empty-handed. $50 will go the way of Josh Edmondson. 25 will go to Kenny Konomos. Excuse me, no, we'll go to Ayrton Hoffman because Konomos is a staff member, excuse me. Third place will get $10. That will go to Pablo Castro, and then 4th through 10th will all get $5 in iRacing credits. If we do this again, Josh, there's plenty of other dirt tracks that we can go to. We could even do some interesting things. You can take these Rallycross cars and send them somewhere like the Nürburgring Nordschleife. I don't know, a one-lap shootout there. I
think that Arjuna is a fantastic idea, and I think that maybe we should see you out there next time. Race Spot also involved.
You know I love me just a little bit of the Nordschleife, and that would be something that I very likely would want to get on board with. But for the time being, it is time to wave you goodbye here from the virtual Crandon International Raceway. What an event this has been, and hopefully it's the first of many as Next Level Racing Team Fordzilla came together to invite the community to pit themselves against the finest from Team Fordzilla. For the entirety of the team at RaceSpot TV, for my co-commentator Will Chadwick, for our producer behind the scenes and the production team, Hugo Luis and Tyler Maxon. My name is Arjuna Kankipati, signing off for now. We congratulate Josh Edmondson for a masterclass here in the Ford Fiesta at Crandon International Raceway, your winner in the Team Fordzilla Next Level Racing Rally Fiesta Challenge.